Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Sorry Liam, I can't leave him. Liam's furious when Hope finds out she's pregnant with Carter's baby. Carter's hasty marriage and Hope's tragic action. Carter Walton wants things to go more quickly. Hope Logan had already accepted the man's proposal. But could the groom be devastated at the altar if Liam Spencer does a complete 180-degree turn? Let's discuss the options after you finish reading. The proposal of Carter Walton. Carter made a marriage proposal a few months ago. Hope said yes, but Daphne Rose was rather devastated. Naturally, Liam's encouragement was the only reason she gave Carter another chance. Liam wanted to make sure that Hope and Beth Spencer were taken care of because he believed he was dying at the time. However, it's unclear whether Hope intended to wed Carter. Remorse for Liam Spencer. Things have changed now that everyone is aware that Liam isn't actually dying. The week of August 25th is when Liam confides in Bill Spencer. The father doesn't want Liam to miss out on Hope because he already feels bad over losing Katie Logan. Liam is encouraged to bring his family back together by the Spencer patriarch. We are aware that Liam makes an impassioned appeal to Hope at the beginning of the week. She doesn't end her relationship with Carter, though. He intends to elope before the end of the week. Compromise on elopement? According to spoilers on The Bold and the Beautiful, Hope might not consent to elope with Carter. She might, however, recommend that they schedule their wedding for a short time, if only to accommodate her family. Deacon Sharp missed out on all the previous significant events in Hope's life, therefore she might want her father to attend her upcoming wedding. It's possible that Hope's justification is simply that, an excuse. I hope Logan is dumped. Hope has already been accused of luring guys on and has destroyed many hearts. Hope may therefore not wish to be that girl. Hope must simultaneously follow her heart. Despite Liam's improved health, it appears that she has remained at his side. Could the bride suddenly change her mind when Carter and Hope appear in front of their loved ones? Carter has already abandoned women at the altar, though it would be devastating. The COO appears to be catching up to soap karma. But will Hope truly return to Liam if she does dump Carter at the altar? Supporters are opposed to them getting another chance. Can't they all find someone new? Is Hope seeking Liam's return? Hope has been urged to bring their family together. Furthermore, even though she was engaged to Carter, he made the effort to kiss her. Does she want him back, though? This sparked a heated online discussion. We are aware of Liam's desire for Hope. He doesn't want to waste any more time now that he knows his health scare was a hoax. Liam actually accepts responsibility for Hope's suffering. For decades, he alternated between her and Steffi. He is now leaving his vacillating habits behind. Hope was urged by Liam to reunite their family. Liam wants to get over his loneliness. Hope only desired him when he wanted Steffi, according to the original poster. Has Liam had a lightbulb moment? This became a heated argument. According to one admirer, Liam experienced a recent epiphany. He doesn't want to waste time trying to please everyone and be kind. It's about time for him to realize what he wants, that person wrote. Is Liam the only one experiencing these emotions? Hope has been having a great time lately spending time with him. His non-waffling ways have allowed them to get along nicely. However, that does not imply that Hope will welcome you. Her fantasies about Thomas, who blew her mind when they were together, were recalled by many fans. She and Carter are now engaged, but they are not in a rush to tie the knot. Rather, her primary attention has been on Liam. In the upcoming weeks, some observers believe she will reconsider. Anything can happen now that Thomas is back. Another person made the prediction, I firmly think that Hope and Thomas will find themselves drawn to one another once more. If Lope tries to get back together after Thomas returns, Liam's mistrust and suspicion about Hope being close to Thomas would lead to serious problems. Liam's face, a canvas of frantic worry and desperate love just moments before, underwent a terrifying metamorphosis. The light in his eyes, the very hope that had defined his name, didn't just dim, it was extinguished, violently, as if doused by a bucket of Arctic water, leaving behind 2 chips of glacial ice that stared at Hope with a foreign, chilling emptiness. The air in the spacious, tastefully decorated living room of the Cliff House, once their sanctuary, grew thick and heavy, each molecule saturated with the toxic residue of her confession, making it impossible to breathe, to think, to do anything but witness the absolute demolition of a love that had weathered so many storms only to be shattered on this most fundamental of shores. He took a single, staggering step backward, as if her words were a physical force, a shove to his chest that threatened to topple his entire world, and his hand, which had moments ago reached for her with such tender concern, now rose not in anger but in a gesture of pure, uncomprehending defense, a shield against a truth too grotesque to process. "You're, what?" he finally managed, the words not a question but a strangled gasp, ripped from a place deep within him that was now hemorrhaging pain, each syllable laced with a disbelief so profound it bordered on madness. "Hope, what are you saying? This isn't funny. This is a sick, twisted joke, and it's not funny." His voice, usually so measured and calm, cracked on the last word, rising into a register of pure, unadulterated panic, the sound of a man feeling the solid ground beneath him give way to a bottomless abyss. Hope could only stand there, a statue of misery and resolve, her arms wrapped protectively around her stomach, a gesture that was both instinctual and a declaration, and it was that unconscious movement, that primal claim of motherhood, that finally made the horror real for Liam. He saw it then, the truth written in the slight pallor of her skin, in the new, fierce protectiveness of her posture, and the last vestige of hope in his heart turned to ash. "It's true, Liam," she whispered, her own voice trembling but clear, each word a shard of glass she was forcing herself to speak. "I'm pregnant. And it's Carter's." The name, spoken aloud in their home, was the final desecration. Liam's body went rigid, his jaw clenching so tight a muscle spasmed in his cheek, and the look he gave her was no longer one of hurt confusion but of incandescent, white-hot fury. "Carter," he roared, the name a curse, a venomous thing he spat onto the floor between them. "Carter? My friend? The man I trusted? The man you swore was just a colleague, a confidant? You let him touch you? You let him, inside you?" The graphic, brutal language was meant to wound, to make her feel the visceral violation he was feeling, to shatter the composed agony on her face and mirror back the raw, gutted hell he was now inhabiting. "It was a mistake. A terrible, horrible mistake," she cried, tears finally breaking free and tracing hot paths down her cheeks. "It was one night, Liam. One night of weakness, of confusion. It didn't mean anything." But her plea only fueled his rage, his laughter a short, harsh, ugly sound that had no humor in it, only scorching derision. "Didn't mean anything? Hope, you're carrying his child. How can you stand there and tell me it didn't mean anything? It meant enough for you to destroy us. To destroy me." He was pacing now, a caged animal, running his hands through his hair as if he could tear the images from his mind, images of her with Carter, in a bed, in a moment of passion that now felt like the greatest betrayal of his life. All this time, he seethed, whirling back to face her, his finger jabbing accusingly at the space between them. "All this time you were pleading with me to trust you, to believe in us, to fight for our family, and you were keeping this bomb locked away inside you. You let me stand here, in our home, and talk about our future, about Steffi, about Thomas, about all of it, and you knew. You knew you were carrying another man's baby." The depth of the deception, the sheer scale of the lie, unfolded before him, each layer more painful than the last. And then, in a voice scraped raw with a pain so immense it was almost peaceful, he asked the question whose answer he already knew in his soul, the question that would decide everything. "So what happens now, Hope? What is it that you want?" He looked at her, his eyes begging her to say it, to say she would fix it, to erase this nightmare, to choose him, to choose them, to fight for the life they had built with every fiber of her being. But Hope's tears continued to fall, and she hugged her stomach tighter, a gesture that was now unmistakable in its meaning. She looked at the man she had loved for what felt like a lifetime, saw the absolute devastation she had wrought, and her heart shattered into a million pieces for him, for the pain she was causing, for the love she was murdering. But as she looked into his broken face, she also felt it, a fierce, undeniable, primal pull, a connection not to the man before her, but to the life growing within her. This was not a mistake, it was a child. Her child. Carter's child. And in that cataclysmic moment, she understood the terrifying, irrevocable truth of her own heart. Her shoulders straightened, and through the tears, her gaze met his with a terrifying, unshakable resolve. "Liam," she said, her voice breaking but unwavering, "I am so sorry. I am so sorry for the pain I've caused you. It's a pain I will carry for the rest of my life." But, she took a deep, shuddering breath, the breath that would end their world and begin a new, terrifying one. I can't just make this go away. This is my baby." Liam stared, waiting for the rest, the conditional, "but I choose you." It didn't come. Instead, Hope delivered the final, killing blow, her words the epitaph on the grave of their marriage. "I'm sorry, Liam, but I can't leave him." The hymn was ambiguous, deliberate, devastating. It was both Carter, the father, and the unborn son, the child. They were now a package, a unit, and she had chosen them. In that single sentence, she exiled him from his own life, from his own home, from the future he had envisioned. The fury on Liam's face didn't disappear, it was simply eclipsed by something far worse, a hollow, absolute, world-ending understanding. She was not sorry for the baby, she was sorry for him. She had made her choice. Without another word, without a scream or a sob, he turned, a man utterly annihilated, and walked out of the Cliff House, leaving Hope alone with the consequence of her desire and the terrifying, lonely certainty of her choice. Carter Walton's instant wedding and Hope Logan's impending, heartbreaking move is not merely another twist in the endless saga of the bold and the beautiful's romantic entanglements, it is a masterfully constructed collision of character history, emotional manipulation, and poetic justice, poised to leave a trail of devastation in its wake, primarily for the one man who entered this arrangement with the purest of intentions, Carter. His desire to speed things up, to solidify their engagement with the concrete finality of vows, is a desperate and tragically transparent attempt to outrun the ghost of Liam Spencer that has perpetually haunted Hope's heart, a ghost that has now startlingly rematerialized in the flesh, no longer dying but desperately alive and fighting to reclaim what he so foolishly, if nobly, relinquished. This entire accelerated trajectory toward the altar is built upon the most precarious of foundations, a proposal that Hope only accepted because Liam, believing his own life was ending, urged her toward a future of security with Carter, a gesture that was less a blessing and more a final act of paternalistic control, gifting his beloved to a worthy steward rather than acknowledging her agency. Consequently, the engagement ring on Hope's finger has always been less a symbol of her passionate commitment to Carter and more a placeholder, a piece of jewelry she wears out of a sense of obligation and the profound grief she felt at the prospect of losing Liam forever. Meaning Carter is not just racing against time but against a resurgent reality where his greatest rival is no longer a tragic memory but a very present, very persuasive advocate for his own cause, championed by none other than Bill Spencer, who projects his own regrets over losing Katie onto his son's situation, weaponizing his influence to ensure Liam doesn't make the same catastrophic error. This external pressure, combined with Liam's own emotional pleas, which undoubtedly tap into a decade of shared history, a child, and a love that, however dysfunctional, possesses a powerful inertia, creates a suffocating vortex of doubt around Hope, who finds herself torn between the safe, stable, and genuinely adoring love of Carter and the tumultuous, all-consuming, and familiar epic that is Lope. Her refusal to immediately break off the engagement upon Liam's recovery is not a sign of her strength of feeling for Carter but rather a testament to her own internal conflict and a deep-seated fear of being perceived as the fickle, heartbreaking lead-on she has been accused of being before. She is trapped in a narrative she never wanted for herself, and so she grasps at the straws of propriety, suggesting a quick wedding rather than an elopement so her father, Deacon Sharp, can be present. An excuse that rings hollow precisely because it is one, a delaying tactic disguised as a sentimental gesture, a way to pump the brakes without actually stepping out of the car, all while the cliff edge of the wedding ceremony draws nearer. This entire precarious situation culminates in the terrifyingly high-stakes scenario of the altar itself, a place where Carter, a man who has endured profound emotional isolation and public humiliation, now stands vulnerably, believing he is finally claiming a happiness long denied him, only to serve as the unwitting star in a public reckoning for Hope, who must finally make a choice not between two men, but between two versions of herself, the woman she believes she should be, steady, honorable, committed to the good man before her, and the woman she is, a soul inextricably, perhaps fatally, bound to Liam Spencer. If she follows through with the wedding, she condemns herself to a marriage built on a lie of omission, forever wondering what if and forever seeing the shadow of Liam in Carter's eyes, a recipe for a slow, quiet death of the spirit that would be its own form of cruelty to Carter. However, if she heeds her heart's true, if predictable, calling and leaves him standing there, humiliated and heartbroken before their family and friends, it will be a move of breathtaking cruelty, a public execution of their relationship that will scar Carter profoundly, branding him once again as the man who is not enough, the perpetual runner-up in the romantic Olympics of Los Angeles. The profound irony, the karmic justice that the soap genre so deliciously trades in, is that Carter himself has been the agent of such alter anguish in the past, most famously with Katie, and now the universe seems to be balancing the scales, ensuring he understands the unique and devastating pain he has inflicted, making him a far more tragic and complex figure in the process. Yet, the true tragedy extends beyond mere cosmic payback. It lies in the cyclical, self-destructive nature of it all, for even if Hope makes her heartbreaking move and runs back into Liam's waiting arms, it offers no true victory, only a return to the same toxic cycle of doubt, betrayal, and Steffi-related turmoil that has defined their relationship for years, leaving the audience to wonder if this entire agonizing journey, Carter's proposed happiness, Hope tortured indecision, Liam's desperate campaign, was all for nothing, a spectacularly painful exercise that ultimately leads everyone back to the same starting point, just with more scars. This is why the prospect of Hope dumping Carter at the altar feels less like a triumphant reunion for a super couple and more like a profound failure for all involved, a testament to the inability of these characters to break free from their destructive patterns and seek genuine, new beginnings, leaving fans to rightly plead, can't each of them finally get someone new? For Hope, it would mean discovering an identity untethered from the Spencer brothers' orbit. For Liam, it would require genuine self-reflection and growth beyond his defining characteristic of waffling, and for Carter, it would be the hard-earned reward of a love that is chosen first, chosen freely, and chosen without the ghost of another man in the room, a love he deserves but one that, heartbreakingly, Hope Logan simply cannot give him. Hope Spencer truly wants Liam back is not a simple binary of yes or no, but rather a profound and turbulent internal conflict that strikes at the very core of her identity, forcing her to choose between the comforting, familiar script of a love story she has fought for over a decade and the terrifying, exhilarating possibility of a future unchained from the cyclical drama that has defined her entire adult life. On the surface, the evidence seems to stack compellingly in Liam's favor. He has, after all, staged a full-scale romantic offensive, proclaiming his love with a renewed intensity born from a fabricated health scare that nonetheless triggered very real existential panic, leading him to a grand epiphany where he claims to have finally exorcised his waffling demons and is now ready to commit wholly and solely to Hope and the reunification of their family. This newfound certainty is undeniably seductive to Hope, who has spent years being relegated to the second choice, the steady and forgiving port in the storm of Liam's indecision, always waiting for him to return from the tempest of his passion for Steffi. Now, to have him finally, fervently, and consistently choose her, to be the unequivocal object of his desire, validates her long-held patience and nurtures the embers of a love that has never truly died, making their recent interactions feel less like a tired rerun and more like a promising new chapter. They have been getting along famously, their co-parenting has deepened into a genuine companionship, and the absence of Steffi as an active thread in Liam's heart has allowed Hope to let her guard down and enjoy the man she fell in love with, the one she believed was her destiny, without the constant, gnawing anxiety of impending betrayal. This Liam is attentive, remorseful, and takes full responsibility for the immense pain his past vacillation has caused, and his raw vulnerability, his admission that he doesn't want to be lonely anymore, resonates with her own deep-seated fear of a fractured family for their daughter, Beth. However, To mistake this enjoyment of his company and this nostalgic affection for a wholehearted desire to reconcile is to ignore the complex and powerful undercurrents pulling at Hope's soul. The central, inescapable truth is that Hope is not free. She is engaged to Carter Walton, a man who represents the polar opposite of everything Liam has been. Carter is stability, maturity, and unwavering devotion, a safe harbor after a lifetime of emotional tsunamis. Yet, significantly, she has shown no urgency to actually marry him, a telling hesitation that speaks volumes. While she may care for Carter deeply, he exists for her less as a great passion and more as a logical, sensible alternative to the chaos of Liam, a life preserver she grabbed onto when she was drowning in disappointment. Her engagement ring is a symbol of a choice to move on, but her heart has never fully endorsed that choice, and Liam's resurgence has exposed Carter fundamentally as a placeholder, a good man who cannot compete with the haunted, complicated history she shares with her former husband. But this does not automatically mean she wants that history to repeat itself. The passionate kiss Liam initiated, while she is still technically committed to another man, did not see her pull away in outrage but rather get swept up in the moment, a reaction that proves Liam's pull is potent but also highlights her own moral confusion and unresolved feelings. The online debate is fierce because it pits two versions of Hope against each other. One is the Hope who has always defined herself by her love for Liam, the Hope for the future who believed in their epic love story, and the other is a newer, more self-possessed Hope who was forged in the fire of his betrayals and who discovered a strength and independence she never knew she had when she was finally free of the Liam and Steffi pendulum. This internal war is further complicated by the most volatile ghost in her machine, Thomas Forrester. The online discourse rightly fixates on the memory of her time with Thomas, a period that was undeniably manipulative and toxic yet also, paradoxically, awakened a side of her she had long suppressed. With Thomas, she was not the safe, predictable, forgiving Hope, she was desired with a ferocious, all-consuming intensity that was both terrifying and thrilling. He rocked her world precisely because he was Liam's antithesis, certain, relentless, and making her feel like she was his entire universe, a stark contrast to Liam's divided heart. Her subsequent fantasy about Thomas, even after his most egregious manipulations, revealed a subconscious yearning for that kind of passionate certainty, a desire to be wanted without reservation or competition, a need that Liam is only now, belatedly, attempting to fulfill. Thomas's imminent return to Los Angeles hangs over any potential Lope reconciliation like a sword of Damocles, and as fans have astutely predicted, his presence will act as both a catalyst and a destroyer. For Hope, seeing Thomas may rekindle a confusing mix of trauma and attraction, forcing her to confront what she truly craves, the peaceful, predictable love Liam is now offering, or the chaotic, all-encompassing passion Thomas represents, which is a dangerous temptation she has fought hard to resist. For Liam, Thomas's return is his ultimate trigger. Despite